and welcome back to Tales of Symphonia. I think we finished collecting what we needed last time. Either that
Yeah,
or the game glitch.
I think fruit or something. Well, it was glitching through the cutscenes or whatever. I think we needed to get him the fruit.
Yeah, we needed to get him the fruit. Thankfully, it didn't glitch through most of the cutscenes, but I think it glitched enough. But I would go back and fix that because I found out what the problem was with later batches, but I lost the original footage for that. So that makes it a little hard. Oh, by the way, it's Kratos again. Didn't we see him like 2 episodes ago?
Yeah, it was. I forget when we split up, but we were working with him.
Yeah. Basically, he knew all along how to cure Colette's angel toxicosis and made us find it instead of him telling us. So, thanks, Kratos!
It reminds me of, whatchamacallit, Ben Kenobi from Star Wars. In the 6th episode, when Luke basically calls him out on lying and not giving him the info, he's like, oh no, I told you the truth from a different point of view.
Yeah.
I was like, well, no, you lied to me. It's not from a different point of view. You literally just didn't tell me the truth on purpose.
Yeah, tomato. It's the same thing, right?
We Jedi are the good guys. That's why we always draw our weapons first and lie.
Yeah. By the way,
so when I go ahead.
No, it's just half elves aren't allowed in this village, so Genus and Rain are left on the outside at the moment.
That's terrible. It's kind of like, hey, look, my token black friend, I need you to stay here while we go into town. Just wait here until we get back.
That reminds me of Blazing Saddles a little bit. Like you've seen Blazing Saddles, right?
No, it sounds really familiar though.
It's one of Mel Gibson's movies, so. That's
yeah.
Like it's a fairly decent movie. It would never get made today though.
Whatchamacallit. But yeah, someone had pointed out yesterday because the official Star Wars thing posted a picture that was a comparison of dark side and light side.
Right.
And everyone in the comments is all like, "Excuse me, actually, you have it wrong." And I kind of agree with them because people tend to see dark side, light side as like stereotypically one side good, one side evil, but it's not necessarily like that. They just see the world in 2 different ways and they act on it in 2 different ways.
Yeah.
And someone had pointed out that it's always the Jedi who draw their weapons first, so they're not really a defensive people.
Which is true.
I mean, it's not like, they assume the Sith's gonna attack them because they just kind of sit there menacingly, but I swear it's always the Jedi that, like, oh, I'm gonna fight you immediately.
The Sith
they make the first move.
I thought that actually with Darth Maul that he did draw this lightsaber first, if I remember correctly. That might be the one exception. I'd have to go.
Yeah, maybe.
I'd have to go back and watch episode 1 again.
Regardless,
You're right. Dooku didn't pull it out first. That was either Luke or Yoda. I can't remember which one, or Anakin or Yoda. Pardon
me. Yeah, they so like dark side, light side is just like, I guess someone pointed out it would be you come across a farm with wealthy landowner and starving peasants that work the farm, and there's a shortage of food. So what's the Jedi gonna do? He's gonna sit there and meditate until things get better. The Sith would kill the landowner and then just give the food to everybody.
Yeah.
They accomplish it 2 different ways. A Grey Jedi probably could have like negotiated it or threatened the landowner to give them the food instead of outright killing them, because there's a lot of in-betweens. For some reason, I don't know, the films or people tend to see it as, oh, it's just black and white. It's simple. Just don't be a Sith. When that's not really true, because Sith aren't completely entirely evil depending on the alignment they have.
Yeah.
It's just
it's kind of weird because I would say they're not very well portrayed, I guess, because it's like
they act like mustache twirling, like, oh, I'm evil McBag guy.
Yeah.
But most of the time they're just, no, I just, instead of drawing my strength from patience and meditation, I draw from raw power and passion and anger, and that's where I get my power from, and I use that how I see it fit instead of how the Jedi use theirs. Which I'm like, hey, that's actually pretty cool. I don't completely agree with you, but it's a lot better than
sit there and do nothing.
Yeah, because that's what the Jedi do. Like at the end of, I guess, spoilers or whatever for Force Unleashed, he's about to kill the Emperor, I may have even mentioned this before. He's about to kill the Emperor, and he's like, "No, don't do it. If you kill the Emperor, you're no different than he is." And so he doesn't kill him. So congratulations for that, because you, all around got blown up, and billions of people are now dead because you couldn't kill one guy because you wasn't the right thing to do.
Ah, but not anymore, because Force Unleashed is no longer canon. Sorry. But I get what you're saying.
You had to take the cannon. You had to take it and smash it.
I'm still so upset, and it's mainly just because of KOTOR is no longer canon. It's like,
really?
Stop. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's all this awesome stuff from Old Republic that's not canon anymore?
Yeah.
Oh man. I guess because they want their own cinematic universe now, so they gotta retcon.
And it's bad. Like, it's so bad. Like, Luke kind of addressed that in what would have actually been episode 7, 8, and 9. He actually tried to do stuff instead of just meditating on stuff, but he still tried to be good about it. So
yeah, I think that was in the Timothy Zahn books. He went like, I think, the path of like a gray Jedi, which I think Mace Windu and Qui-Gon were gray Jedi, and that they were still Jedi, but like they kind of got to the fringe of, I'm kind of gonna do my own thing or do things differently than I'm supposed to, but
Mace
I'm
Windu
still
at the very
technically
least,
a Jedi.
I know Mace Windu at the very least, because I think it's actually canon that he did know Force Lightning too.
Well, I think he force choked because with
Okay.
the cartoon with General Grievous, he like, that's why he coughed so much. He literally crunched his inside.
He crushed his lung. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Because using Force Crush is like to the Jedi as a path to the dark side. Because well, it's not too long before you're starting to Force choke people, and it's not the Jedi way to kill people.
I mean, I think Force Crush would be a whole lot better than choking. Choking.
Oh well, then the Jedi doesn't want you, because the Jedi want to sit around and do nothing until something happens, and then say, "We should have seen it coming. We did, but we didn't do anything."
Right. Whereas it's like, if we typically have, for Catholics, it's like if we have a prophecy that's proven true, we do try to go ahead and work on it. The unfortunate thing is,
but we'd have to see it in a just. We'd act on it in a just way, as opposed to the Sith. It just says, "All right, let's do it. Let's go up to his house and kill him." That's all we gotta do, and that's what I think. I think that's what. Well, actually, it's what made Palpatine so, I guess, interesting.
Good and evil. I would say good and evil is typically pretty identifiable in the real world for the most part.
Yeah, you can look at something and say that's evil. There's some things I think that'll blur the line where you're like, all right, well, it all depends on where you fall politically or religiously. But in like,
from where I stand, the Jedi are evil.
Or only a Sith deals in absolutes, says the guy dealing in absolutes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, in the real world, I would say good and evil is a little bit more easier to identify. Not always. There is those fringe exceptions.
Yeah, I think from a Catholic perspective, we can say something is clearly good, something is clearly evil. But if you're, I guess, from a secular point of view, morality gets grayed out a lot depending on things, and that's what's interesting about a lot of films or games, is when they kind of blur it to say, is this the right thing to do? I don't know. That's what
yeah, because I mean, I guess to tie it back into Tales of Symphonia, that's kind of what we've been doing this entire time, because it's like we've been trying to save Colette, and it's like, it saves Colette, and I mean, eventually we saved the world, but in the end we did kill
but at the cost of like we killed a lot of people for one friend. I mean, eventually the world, but
but it's like, I mean,
it's hard to kind of go through and say, oh, those sacrifices are necessary. Well, it's easy to say when it wasn't you that was killed.
Yeah, and I mean,
or your family or whatever.
And when it worked out in the end, like if it didn't work out, everything.
Oh yeah, that would have been terrible.
I mean, it's like, if it hadn't worked, if it hadn't worked out, it would have changed entirely. To put it bluntly.
I guess because I was thinking of Spec Ops: The Line, and I wasn't sure how it. Because I think for the most part, it says it's. You've never played it?
I have it, but I need to play it.
Yeah, it's that Catholic Gamer dude did a good video on it. I remember.
It was a good video.
But like it does the same thing with morality, but I think it still kind of leans to evil when it mentions everything that you're doing. Because I think it blurs it and says, because as you go along, you do increasingly worse and worse things, but you keep writing it off as, hey, there's no choice, we got to do it. And then, like towards the end, it gets like actually throughout the whole game, it makes you reflect on it, like saying, was that the right thing to do? But at the end, you really had no choice. You had to do it anyway.
Right.
But it just, yeah, it
Yeah,
was a really good game.
there was some kind of thing, I can't remember, where it's like, you could gas them and you couldn't gas them, but if you didn't gas them, I don't remember.
Oh yeah, that's the white phosphorus scene. So like, you come across, there's a big thing of like enemies, like ton of them, like way more than you can handle, and there's a white phosphorus like mortar thing right next to you, and it gives you very beginning. It says, all right, they say, oh, there's white phosphorus over there, and they're like, the one guy's like, no, that's inhumane. We should not do that. And then the guy's like, no, we have to do it because, you know, we should. And the guy's like, no, like we can choose not to do this. And then he goes, no, we don't have a choice.
Right.
There's never a choice. So, but it lets you choose. And if you opt to not use it, then it's unbeatable because enemies will infinitely respawn and eventually you'll die.
That's right. I remember that Catholic gamer dude mentioning that, and it's like, that's basically a false choice then.
Yeah, it's the choice for the narrative as opposed to asking you to make the choice. I think when it does that, it's saying...
You know what game's really bad about that? Mass Effect.
It's, I guess because the choices don't really matter.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I take that back. Maybe just the 3. I'm thinking of The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead... Well, I mean, a lot of later Telltale games, the choices don't really matter. It's just character A dies and B lives. Or character A dies early, and then B lives, and then B dies later on. So neither characters matter anyway.
And that's really unfortunate, because like one of my favorite characters from The Walking Dead, basically, I'm gonna spoiler alert. I haven't played season 3. I've just looked at the spoilers. But like my favorite character from The Walking Dead, the series, was Kenny. It's like, and basically you could save him in season 2. But he gets killed in a cutscene in season 3.
They just write him off. That's what made so many people angry, because so many people loved him, and then they kill him off in one-off cutscene.
Yeah, no, you accidentally crashed a car, and then he got stuck. He couldn't walk anymore, so he died.
Oh, man, you're making
I will admit it's a little creepy, because supposedly a love thing was forming between him and was it? It's not Colette. It's
No, Clementine.
Yeah.
I think people just there's I mean, I guess not really a theory, because people look at it and say it's more of a, not really a love thing, but it's like an abusive
dad-daughter thing.
Yeah, but like an abusive stepdad, stepdaughter, because he's controlling and manipulative.
Is Kenny? Kenny's not.
They look through it, and there was a guy who did a really good video on it, and he made sure to keep clarifying, like, hey, I really like Kenny too, but there's things that are like red flags for how he acts around Clementine, that is like, hey, he acts like a good father, but there's things that he does that are really like controlling. He has a big temper, is the thing. Like he wanted to absolutely kill Jane before she'd explain, hey, I hid the baby somewhere. Like, well, instead of saying, like, I mean, I know that he really wanted the baby, and she really should have just told him immediately, but he immediately went into a blind fury and tried to kill her.
Jane can actually tell him?
I think she should have been able to tell him.
I sided with Kenny, and the only way we found out afterwards was because the baby was crying.
Yeah, I think that's the big complaint people had, is why didn't she just tell him where the baby was?
Yeah.
I think because she didn't want Kenny to be around, because she knew about his temper, so she didn't want to have the kid around him. And so I guess she thought by not telling him where the baby was, he would kind of go away, but it obviously didn't happen with his temper, and he tried to kill her.
And he did kill her.
Yeah, or if you chose the other way around, it forced you to kill Kenny to prevent him from literally...
Where it's... And that's why I don't like her, because you're right, Kenny did happen to have a temper, but she basically forced that scenario, because it would kind of be like a late-term abortion for us, I guess. So it's like, basically, you killed... I wouldn't say that we should still kill her, but you killed a child. And that's not
I think, because the thing was, no one knew. No one
Yeah.
knew that she was pregnant, so...
Yeah. Yeah, that's like... Yeah, I don't know. Oh, here's one of the devil's arms again. So we are eventually working on finishing this off, so... It's kind of in a weird spot, because it kind of blends into the background there.
Not much of a
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really waiting for, I guess, what I'm waiting for, let me try to think. The Wolf Among Us Season 2?
Yeah, they announced that they're working on it, and that was massive. Everyone flipped out because they read all the tweets where
Yeah.
people said, "Hey, where is it?" and finally doing it.
Have you read the comic for The Wolf Among Us?
No, I would.
If they follow the comic, there was an extra scene that didn't take place in the actual game. The Crooked Man kind of pulled a quick switcheroo in the comic, and he stole. Basically, he kidnapped the Little Mermaid. Just as a heads up.
Yeah, I know that. I think I watched Cry play it, and Cry said that he'd read the comics, and so as he was going through, he was making decisions based on how he think the character would.
Right.
So that meant doing decisions that he necessarily didn't agree with or like, but he was doing it because this is what that specific character.
Right, and I can understand that because it's exactly right. Because it's like I found the comic interesting because it was stuff I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
But it kind of fit. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It does make it interesting. Pardon me. So it's like, yeah, I mean...
Yeah,
so,
it's interesting seeing characters do stuff in a different perspective. Like, my current character in Skyrim is, like, an obvious polar opposite of what I would have been like. Because my character is cold, manipulative, I guess it wouldn't be psychotic.
Kenny?
I don't know. Oh, yeah, maybe. I mean, my character started off with... I used a mod that's like alternate start. So you don't start with the typical prisoner thing. You start off in a bunch of different things. Started off as an apprentice to a powerful warlock. Immediately just stabbed them in the back when they weren't looking. Just came in, killed them, and I took some of their stuff. I figured that was like, hey, I'm stealing your power.
Right.
Sort of like, which Sidious killing his master in Star Wars.
I can't remember.
It's like the ultimate betrayal of a student killing their teacher.
Yeah.
Because like he became I guess my idea is that my character kind of knew everything they need to know, and now they're more powerful than the teacher. So they just I guess because they're psychotic, they're like, oh well, you've lost your usefulness. Let me just get rid of you. You can't know I'm here. And that's what I do. I kind of go along, manipulate everybody, and what's one of the most, and they wanted to seek like ultimate power. So what is one of the best things to get ultimate power in Skyrim? Become a vampire. You're immortal. You get a crap ton of power. And that's what I did. I joined a bunch of vampire hunters for this whole purpose of becoming a vampire.
Right, yeah.
And it's fun, I guess, role-playing like that, because I'm obviously not like that kind of person, but it's interesting to see how that kind of character would go. Yeah. And that's where my character is. Now they're the head of that vampire clan, and they've got this massive elder vampire power, but they still want even more. So now they found out they're the Dragonborn, and now they're like 10 times as powerful as they could be.
Yeah. But just a quick, thing for what we're doing here. Basically, we're going to go to talk to the Elf Elder so as we can find out the history of the actual Karlan War. So, apparently he's at the top of a mountain instead of being with the rest of the elves for some reason. I think they do.
Like a meditative master or something.
Yeah, I think they actually do explain it. I just can't remember what it is at the moment. Oh, I think I remember what it is. Basically, none of the elves are supposed to know this, so that's why. Because it's...
Oh, so he doesn't want to accidentally tell them?
Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly.
I guess he's just... Yeah, I guess it's usually keep a secret if you're by yourself.
Yeah. And, I mean, the only way to get up here is you had to have the Elven Elder staff, so, you know, that combination does make it a bit harder. Yeah, I think this is the last boring part, actually. I think pretty much from here on out, we have something interesting, because it's like, we have plot or side quests, and the side quests are typically fairly interesting, so...
Oh, like the last of the puzzles, I guess?
Yeah. For the most part, like, if I remember correctly, there's not really any more difficult puzzles after this. I could be misremembering, but I guess we'll find out. Because I know that there's a cutscene or an episode coming up where it's nearly all cutscene. Part of that's my fault, just because there's a cutscene coming up where you can talk to 4 different people, but obviously you can't do it all in the same playthrough. So I just reloaded what I just previously done, and I showed what could have happened instead of what did happen.
Yeah.
So that obviously took a bit more time than typically.
Yeah, because you can't save it directly at the conversation and then reload it.
No, unfortunately not. You can save it
They're
pretty
kinda-
close, but
Yeah.
I pretty much just cut to where the cutscene had started. We'll see how I did that because I actually think it was fairly clever. I
That
know
kind of makes me think.
I know I've talked about this before, but have you seen Clue the movie?
No, but you've mentioned how like
Yeah.
it's several different endings.
Yeah. You'll see what I did for that, but it's a good movie. Anyways, what were you saying?
I wonder if Bethesda had the same thought when they made 4, because it used to be you couldn't save at any point during a conversation in any of the Fallout games. At least I think from 3 in New Vegas. I don't know about the original 2 or 3. But in 4, you can quick save or automatically save or whatever during any conversation at any point. And I wonder if they did that because the speech system is the one. It's not like Vegas where it just runs a number, and if the number doesn't match, then you can't make the decision. It's complete random chance in 4. With if you have a higher charisma, then it's a bit of a better chance. But at the end, like, you can still fail a speech check just because of a dice roll, which I think is kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Because if you're level 10 charisma, it shouldn't be random chance. You should be immediately manipulating people with your words. That's how New Vegas works. If your speech was 100, then
that's how Fallout 3 worked. That's how Fallout 3 worked as well, wasn't it? Or was it?
Yeah, they did chance. It would literally just say percentage chance,
Okay.
like, oh. And you couldn't do any abilities. Like, it was only speech checks, like with just speech, as opposed to Vegas, where you would only get a special option with something if, oh wow, you've got 25 guns. Now you can talk guns with this person. You have 75 science. You can provide a useful solution to this person who doesn't know what they're doing.
Right.
But if you don't have that science check, then sorry, you can't, get the extra XP, complete the quest easier, or get a special item or whatever. And it's going to be hard. I guess, like 3 with 3, you can become an unstoppable whatever and max every skill to 100, and that way the skills have no weight, as opposed to Vegas, where you're kind of asked to build a character a certain way and stick with it, which is, I think, what I did. I made, like, a cowboy character, so I'm not really that smart, but I can talk a good storm up, and I'm good with guns and knives and stuff like that. Or I have a laser energy weapon nerd character, who, obviously, they're really smart, but it wasn't until very later on that they were okay with voice.
They were okay with voice?
Well, their speech kind of went up as I went along because I ran it and stuff to level. But I obviously didn't, and I refused to take.
You could say that they were previously like an anime fan on prom night.
Yeah, that's actually why I didn't take the trait.
You know what I'm referencing, though, right?
It sounds familiar.
They basically. That was the ad for Mighty Number 9.
That's a terrible ad for.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
What idea was that?
I have no idea. I'll have to show you that in between videos, but it's.
That's like a terrible marketing decision. You're insulting your player base.
It gets worse.
It's like it's not even a playful kind of. Oh, I get it. It's kind of like.
Offensive.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was for that reason that my character, I make it so they don't take the killer, because I figure, why would I be a hit with the ladies if I'm an energy weapon nerd or whatever, even if my speech is like 60.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It just doesn't seem like there's any point to really want to continue a character, or I don't know. They just made so many bad decisions with 4. But it's also the one that sold the best, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's just because it looked good, and it's been a couple years, and it's streamlined enough that it's like a shooter, so most people, oh wow, looks cool, I'll get it. It's unlike all the other Fallouts, it's a shooter with RPG elements.
Right.
It's a heavy shooter with mild RPG elements, as opposed to the other Fallouts, which are heavy RPGs with minor shooter elements.
Yeah.
Which is what made it so good, because you could actually roleplay and there was stuff involved in it, whereas 4 went like, whatever, it's Mass Effect with its dialogue system and completely like ruined it. You couldn't, it was just yes, no, but when you say no, you really mean yes, and sarcastic yes.
Right. It's unfortunate.
And the sarcasm most of the time wasn't even really that good. It was just like,
there.
I'm going to be mildly annoying. as opposed to
Yeah.
what you can do in like New Vegas, where you can actually be a terrible person to people with your speech options. You can say stuff that will literally cause people to attack you. Like when you go up to the Hoover Dam, there's this Boulder City, and you shoot. There's a guy at the War Memorial. If you shoot at the War Memorial, the guy will say, "Hey, what are you doing? You're desecrating a war memorial." You can say, "I'm sorry," or you can literally say, "There's more where that came from," and it'll cause you to attack.
Yeah.
I never know, but it's that kind of like little things that makes New Vegas so interesting. If you're that terrible of a person, you could do that.
I know I've said this a few times, but almost like the original team that made the first 2 Fallout games came back and made another game or something.
And even the people that hadn't worked on it looked at the source material and said,
Right.
"Hey, be as honest and as true to the source material and use it as
Yeah.
they would have wanted." Verse 3 was kind of like, "I want to see some guy's head explode," and then let's
Bloody
throw in
mess.
radiation and mutants. And mutants are another thing. They used to actually be in, like, they would have stuff to say and they would talk because they were
Yeah.
actual, like they actually thought about stuff, but they're just brain dead. Oh, we kill and eat stuff in 3.
Which I can kind of understand that for 3 crew. Sorry, one second. Only due to the fact that without the master, they probably got pretty shitty stupid.
Yeah, well, that's actually a point that we never touch on in 3, but in New Vegas, they say because the Nightkin are lost because the Nightkin serve the master. In fact, when I got up to Jacobstown, my first reaction was to shoot them because I saw they were super mutants. It wasn't until I guess I reloaded because I was like, wait, this one's his name. Then I walked back and you could talk to them, and I was like, wow, you can actually talk to super mutants in this game. And then, wow, it's a whole community of ones that you can actually have a conversation with, and they'll give you info and talk about stuff, and they sound like actual humans. They just look different and they're sterile.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I didn't even realize that was a plot point for Fallout 1, but apparently that was the major problem with all the mutants, wasn't it? They were all sterile.
Yeah. And that's how you can win the, that's actually how you can convince the master, because you end up either fighting the master or you can literally convince it to destroy itself, because logically it says, well, I'm not worth existing because my entire life is a lie, so it'll kill itself, but let you leave.
By the way,
And you can only do that if you've talked about super mutants with everyone in the game, gotten an autopsy report, and asked them, hey, have you seen any female mutants lately? And he'll say, no.
wasn't there a female Nightkin, or was that just the male Nightkin that dressed as a female?
I think it was just that, or maybe there, I don't know.
There might be a few, but not a majority of them.
Well, I think maybe it's like they're over. Maybe there is a gender, but it's a very small difference. Like maybe they're all off with a ton of testosterone, but some of them think they're. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I've never really. I mean, I haven't seen one that looked female, so I don't think they're a female mutant. But maybe there are.
I just thought that I thought that the team, the Nightkin that joined you in New Vegas.
Well, I know it's Lily, and they're dressed like an old grandma, but I don't know if they were actually female.
Right, that's what I was trying to remember. Yeah. I can't remember.
Because you never really see anyone that, I guess, physically, in terms of the figure, actually looks female, because they all look like the same buff super mutant.
Right, that is very true. Apparently she was in fact female, at least originally. I'm just looking at it, because she apparently is one of the ones that was the original batch. Which actually...
whenever you...
I was gonna say they all have to be the original batch, don't they? Because I was gonna say they can't reproduce, so they all have to be the original batch now.
Yeah. So... Yeah. That or they, or they kidnap people and soak them in the juice to turn them into super mutants.
Yeah. But yeah, I was gonna say that'll do it for this episode. I did want to apologize real quickly for having to fight that mimic twice. I kind of accidentally ran away, so that's why that happened. But we'll be back next time. I promise more stuff will happen in Tales of Symphonia soon. It's just that this mountain is not exactly the most fun. But we'll catch you next time, guys. Thank you very much, and Pax Up Bonum.